Okay, so today we're doing a really specific deep dive for a listener, Azadine Ujahan. We're going to map out the whole process for a Canadian citizen who's dreaming of Italy. We want to get from that big dream to the actual nitty-gritty of becoming a resident and buying a home there. So, the foundation for all of this, the absolute starting point, has to be the elective residency visa, right? The ERV.
It is. That's the gateway. The ERV, or Visto per Residenza Elettiva, really sets the whole tone for your move.
How so?
Well, Italy is basically saying you are welcome to live here, but you are not welcome to work here. It's very specifically for people who can prove they have passive self-sustaining income.
Okay, and what does passive actually mean in this context? We're talking about things like pensions, right?
Exactly. Pensions, annuities, dividends from investments. Basically, money that shows up in your account without you actively working in the local economy.
And there's a specific number you have to hit.
There is. You need to show roughly 32,000 hours a year for one person. And you have to prove that it's stable and continuous.
Right. And that brings us to what I think is the absolute deal breaker, where most people probably get tripped up, the no work clause. We know you can't get a job locally, but what about remote work? For a Canadian company paid in Canada, is there any gray area there?
None whatsoever. It's a hard no. If you're in Italy on an ERV, you are strictly prohibited from any kind of employment.
Even if it's for a company back home?
Yes, even if your salary is paid offshore and taxed in Canada, your entire application hinges on proving you are a financial resident, not an active worker. That's a key insight into how the consulates see it.
Okay, crystal clear. So the passive income is non-negotiable. But getting the visa is really only step one. Once you actually land in Italy, the clock starts ticking fast.
It does. You have just 8 business days,
Yeah.
we call it the jet lag deadline, to apply for your permesso di soggiorno.
So the ERV is the permission to enter, but the permesso is the permission to stay.
Precisely. And you have to apply for it at the local police headquarters, the Questura. If you miss that 8-day window, you could jeopardize your entire long-term status.
Okay, so now let's connect the residency to the other big goal, buying a house. This is where things can get a bit complicated with international law and this idea of reciprocity.
Right. So reciprocity, in simple terms, means a non-EU citizen can buy property only if an Italian citizen can do the same in their home country.
And for Canada, that's generally not an issue, but there's a catch.
There can be. Some sources suggest Canadians might run into problems buying a second home, especially in a big city, unless they're already an official resident.
So that raises the big strategic question. Do you rent first, get your residency, and then buy?
That is overwhelmingly the practical advice, yes. Use a long-term rental contract to prove you have accommodation for your ERV application.
Then, once you have that permesso di soggiorno in hand,
Then you're a legal resident, and the whole property purchase becomes so much simpler, it just smooths out all the paperwork.
and it seems like that strategy really opens up the country, too. I saw a stat that something like 84% of Italy's towns have fewer than 10,000 people.
That's right. And buying in those smaller places, Siciliana or an Acqua Spartra, is generally much more straightforward for a legal resident.
Got it. So regardless of when you buy, what are the first logistical steps?
2 things are mandatory. First, you need a codice fiscale.
Your Italian tax ID number. And you need that for pretty much everything, right? Not just the house.
Everything. Bank accounts, utility bills, a phone contract. It's essential. And second, you really should open an Italian bank account. It makes all the payments and taxes so much easier to manage.
And when it comes to the actual purchase, who's the key person you need? It's not a regular lawyer, is it?
Correct. You must hire a notaio.
No.
And they aren't just your lawyer, they are a public official. Their job is to represent the state, ensuring the title is clean, the contract is legal, and all the taxes are paid.
So they're mandatory.
Absolutely. One last thing to keep in mind, financing. Getting an Italian mortgage as a non-resident is quite challenging.
You'd need a pretty big down payment, I imagine.
A very big one, often 40 or even 50%.
Wow. Okay, so to wrap this all up, the core message for Azadine is pretty clear. Focus on proving the passive income and securing residency first.
Yes, that structure makes everything else like the house purchase fall into place later.
That initial foundation is everything.
It is. And, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the real long-term goal here is built on that foundation. After 5 years of continuous legal residency, you might be eligible to apply for permanent residency. And that's really the end game that this whole process sets you up for.